G'day guys, welcome back to Wombat Gaming. Today I'm going to be talking about settlement locations and outpost locations. These two things are going to be critical in your game. So where you put your settlement could make or break or potentially slow you down quite a bit in the game. So I'm going to talk about why I think these locations are the best. I'm also going to talk about some really important outpost locations because not every resource is going to be available to you in the starting location. Alright, so let's get down to this and I'll just show you quickly. This one's going to be pretty obvious, but the starting location that I would advise for new players is going to be basically in the start area, and I'll explain why. So we do start in this particular town up here. I think we just start in this top section just here, and we run down into the town, and then he asks us to build a camp. Now this would be the first location you'll build in, and like me, it gets expanded, and before you know it, it's just too hard to go and move everything. And why would you? Because this area is actually the best area from tier 1 through to tier 2, and I'll show you why. Some of the things that you are going to need straight up are going to be things like sage. You're going to need hemp, and you're going to need flax as well. There's plenty of flax in this area, and I will show you why. Now, flax does not come up on the map. There's a lot of resources that you'll find in-game that do not show up with a symbol, so just be aware of that. And they essentially, generally sage and flax are kind of found in the same area. But you can see this area down here before I started growing crops has flax as well. And of course, when you do get the ability to grow your own crops, like here, you probably won't be resource gathering it as much. But the things like sage, flax, those kind of hemp, those kinds of things are super important in the very first tier. You're going to need a lot of them. You're going to need a lot of wood as well. As you can see, we're surrounded by forests. So the locations that I would suggest would be right where I've put my particular village. It's not too close to the town because there is a cut-off area where you can't actually, chop down trees or gather. And it's kind of like just here where this sign, travel sign is. So I kind of am a little bit close to it. If I could redo it again, I probably would have moved a little bit further down towards these roads. Now, a lot of people will say don't build near roads because of bandits, but look, they only last a little while. Once you clear your bandit camps from the area, you'll stop getting them walking down the road at all. So don't be too worried about that. That's a small thing for the cost of where your settlement is. So I would probably build a little bit further down, and I'll show you why. Now, there are 3 resources that you're going to need all the way through to tier 2 that are very critical, and one is going to be copper, and you can see it up here. It's on the right hand side of the map just here. Now it pretty much is only found on this side of the map. In fact, on the whole map I haven't actually found any copper nodes anywhere else yet, but they are predominantly just in this little area here, a few down into this area. But bear in mind, when you cross over these little borders here, things get a little tougher, so just bear that in mind. You probably want to stay in this particular valley, which is called Sun Steep Valley. So try and stay as close to this area as you can. Now, the other reason is that we have tin. Now, we have tin ore over here to the left. Now, we don't have tin ore to the right. So if you built too close to the right, then your settlers are going to be walking too far over this side to get to this tin. And as you can see, there's more tin over here as well. But predominantly the tin is found on this side, and there isn't as much over here. And the reason for that is because I've actually found tin down into these areas down in here. Now, there isn't a symbol for it, but I actually have found tin nodes that the miners can mine. So those 2 things you're going to need a lot of: copper, and you're going to need a lot of tin because you're going to be wanting to make ore, and then ingots, and you need bronze and things like that. So you're going to need those things as well. Now, the reason why I said I'd move a little bit further down here is because of one thing that I still am actually finding very hard to keep on top of, and that are reeds. Now you can see down here by this little kind of, I guess, lake river bit, there are lots of reeds along here. Now these things are super important for making linen and clothing and things, and bow and arrows, which you're going to be using a lot of. Even in tier 3, I'll come and show you, we still need reeds to make linen. So let's have a look in here. I'm looking at, let's have a look. All right, so we've got a linen here. You need 2 reeds and you need a lot of flax. Okay, so 2 for 2 makes you 1 linen. And then if we have a look at the weaver here, This is the highest infantry, I guess, Gambeson, I think it's pronounced, that I've been able to make so far research. Now it requires rawhide and linen. Don't worry about the rawhide so much because that's a late game thing anyway. But you can see it needs 10 linen. So even today in this tier 3, you'll see that linen is something that is needed a lot of. So if you can imagine, let's have a look at my settlement at the moment and see how many settlers we've got. We have, let's have a look, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30. We've got about probably 30 plus settlers. If we wanted to deck them out all in the best gear like I'm wearing now from my level of research, then a lot of linen is required. So again, back to that map, there are only 2 locations that on this side of the map that have an abundance of reeds, and this little lake down here just next to Padstow is another one, has quite a few reeds along here as well. You can see river reeds into this area. Now apart from that, river reeds are scattered around the map. You've got some down here, but then you're starting to get into territory that has got a lot more bandits, and I wouldn't advise building down there early game. So you have possible 3 locations here to choose from, guys. I would suggest this location just here as the starting location. It's got a few roads around it, which is good. You'll find that if you don't already know, running on roads, you can see right now me running with all this armor on is dragging out my agility quite a bit. But as soon as I hit the road, I can run a little bit faster, and it's not wearing down that that agility. So I definitely I reckon that this area just down in here would be the best place to place your settlement and start building out and around this area. You have also some tin behind us here that you can expand into. Also things like mud are super important. So this is kind of a central location. I have seen some people building up into here, but I think it's just a bit too far to walk to copper for my thoughts. I'm not sure. It's very you're chopping down a lot of trees, and I think you're taking up a lot of resource areas. It's very close to tin, but you are missing out on you're getting further away from these reeds and also further away from this copper. All right, well, I think that's pretty much it. I really don't have a good other location for you as far as your first town. You may choose to move it as you hit tier 2 or 3. I am not going to, because I think there's a lot of resources here. I'm going to rely on outposts going forward. I'm going to show you a couple of my favorite outpost locations and why as well. Okay guys, when you do hit tier 2, you're going to need things like iron and granite. So one of my best locations is this particular area. I'll show you on the map where you are. I will point out that this is extremely heavy area for bandits. You can see them down the bottom of the hill. Now I built up on the top of that little hill up there. In hindsight, I probably would have built a little bit further down. I'll show you where we are on the map. We are just above Horndean. You can see there's an iron node here. We have a granite node and another granite node. These are a couple of things that you're going to need a lot of. Now in this area I've also found a little bit of tin, which is super handy. So if you built just here, you would have ample access to those resources. I'll just wait till these guys move on and I'll show you exactly what I mean in regards to these resources. Okay, the bandits have moved on, so I can show you exactly where we are now. So we're just on this little ridge just off the road north of Horndean. Now this is one location. I'm actually going to be moving my location now, and the reason why I picked this one is first up is because there was a little bit of tin here. Now it looks like I've mined out all the tin, so I can't actually show you, but we do have cotton in the area as well. It doesn't show up on the map, but I think if you can see on just below my shack up there, my mining tent, you can see there's cotton just on the hill there, and so there's cotton if you want it. Now I'm growing cotton, so there wasn't really a need for it, but you can see we've got these iron nodes around here as well. And just at the bottom of the hill here we have the granite. So when you do need granite, now granite can only be mined in tier 2 with a sturdy so it's a rugged pickaxe or sturdy pickaxe, I think it is. So you can't mine it any other way. So this is other than that, you will need to research a different building in tier 3, which I haven't done yet. So at this particular point in time, this was just handy for me. I'd built the fast travel sign. So I will show you a better location, I think, for getting your granite and iron. So we'll jump there now. It's a little bit further away. All right, guys, we are at the, I guess, what I think is the best location. Now, the only reason I didn't build here to begin with, and I'll show you why in a minute on the map, is that in order to build these fast travel signs, you need a road. And when the road runs out, that's as far as you can go. So you can see this fast travel sign, this is as close as I could get to these nodes down here. We have granite and iron, and I'll show you that you have to, if you have a raid coming in, you're going to have to run, if you keep your settlement, I should say your outpost, quite small, you're generally dealing with only 3 or 4 at the most. And if you have 1 or 2 really good, I guess, miners out here that are well armed and have plenty of good armor on them, they can pretty much defend themselves with your help. But getting in here is a little bit of a run. Now you can see here we have the iron nodes. We have quite a few of them. It's actually a really good location. There's plenty of wood around as well. We also have cotton in the area too, but you can see all this iron just here. And just over here we have all the granite. So I'm going to be placing my tier 3 mining camp just here, so you can see all the granite just in here. So when I do build, I will be building, and I'll show you in a second. I'm going to be building, have I actually had it researched yet? Yes, the pit. And I will be building the pit in here. So this pit allows me to mine various ores. And so it's quite a decent sized building. So that's the best location for it. There's the cotton I was talking about. It's all pretty close. So it actually would make a pretty good location for, and I'll show you where we are, south of Horndean, for a final base potentially. Essentially, you've only got the one road running in. There's more iron ore up here. So as far as getting attacked, you're really only going to be coming in from one direction. It's got some picturesque views of the ocean, and I think there's a lot of resources here. But if you did make this your main base, you'd be shipping a lot of stuff in, like all that flax. There's not a lot of wildlife around here. I haven't seen too many deers or boars. I've been here a few times, but who knows, maybe if I start to populate the area, they'll soon be seen. All right, we're going to head off to my next outpost location that I think is essential for kind of late tier 1 into tier 2. Let's head over there now. All right, guys, we're at the location for my second outpost. This one is quite dangerous. As you can see, we've got bandits all around us. I'll just run in here and then I'll show you where we are on the map. Now, as you can see, I've built some stuff in here already. Now, it's not manned all the time, and the reason for that is because it is quite heavily surrounded by bandits. Now I'll show you, we are just north of Black Ridge Pool. Now the reason why this particular location I chose is we have peat over here. We also have the cranberries in the same location, just in this area. Peat over here. We also have moss over here. Now these 3 ingredients are going to be essential for you if you're wanting to get into tier 2, especially the peat. You're going to need that for getting ingots in your furnace, so that's super important. The cranberries is just a bonus, and moss, well, you're not going to need that till tier 3 anyway. But having this little setup, I've pretty much just built a foraging hut and a little storage area, and I've also just put a mud collector which collects the peat as well, and then I just allocate someone to this every now and then when I'm getting low, or I couldn't be bothered coming getting in it myself. I don't see this as super urgent, but you do need to have this sort of resources in order to do the ingots, so I would definitely recommend putting something here for sure. If you guys have got a better location, as you can see, I haven't opened up the whole map as yet. I have been relying on other resources and word of mouth from other players to sort of find these locations. So if you think that you've got a essential outpost location, please pop that into the chat, and I'd love to know and share that with people in my next video for sure. So once again, guys, if you think this little short video was helpful, please hit that like button and consider subscribing, and I will see you on the next video.